Hello beekeepers, this is Tim from Tea Creek Bees and Honey near Topeka, Kansas, and my winter activity to prepare for the 2021 nuke season is folding the Mann waxed cardboard nuke boxes, and I thought I'd provide a brief tutorial on how I do that. I can do these very quickly. I can do a box in about 90 seconds with some practice. When you buy these cardboard nuke boxes, they come flat, and so you have to make them into a box. I like to do that by kind of exercising the joints and breaking it all apart. So to do that, simply fold up the sides and flap them around, and then you have to break off the inner covers here to expose the slots. And it'll make a nice, satisfying cracking sound when you do that. Exposes these slots, and tabs will go there when we get to that part. Have a comfortable work height when you do this. I like the work area to be at about my waistline, that way I don't have to bend over too far to do this. Begin by kind of gathering it up in this way. You can gather the inside flaps together, lean over it, trap it with your upper body, and then pull the long side up and flex these tabs up. These tabs are going to go right into those slots you created. Each box kind of has its own personality, and sometimes you have to manipulate it a little bit, but these tabs should go in quite easily, and then they'll lock in. The tabs taper, and so once they're in and secured in the slots, they won't come out. Once one side is done, the hard work is over. You can flex these tabs if you want to make it a little bit easier. And then the tabs go into the slots, line up the bottom ones, pinch in the top ones, and slide them in. And that's the work of making one of these boxes. Now we have to create a shelf or a rest for the frames. There are two heights to the inside flaps. A shorter one, which goes in first, and then a taller one, which goes in behind it. And then you fold the excess material over to make the frame rest. Just pinching that down with my fingers, and that is the frame rest right there. We'll do it on this side. Fold it over. Short, tall, and then fold it over. Now, because bees are going to sit in here for longer than a month, we want to take an action to help preserve the structural integrity of this box. It is enough just to stop here, but I like to take one additional step because it costs almost nothing and it doesn't take very long. This is a pliers style staplers. This stapler is from Rapid. It's called the K1 Classic. This is available on Amazon. And what I like to do is I like to take the flex out of this box by pressing these corners together and putting a staple in near the top. And I do that on all four corners. I simply take the flex out of the box by pushing the back wall against the long side and doing a staple. And this helps to preserve the structural integrity of the box because it's going to be out and it will be in the sun and perhaps the snow and the rain for a little bit more than a month. And you see how it flexes a little bit there? If you just put a staple in, it'll prevent that. And here's why you want to. These nuke boxes hold frames. And they're, the box is made out of cardboard, so it will, even though it's wax, take on some moisture and it'll loosen up. And if it loosens up, then your frame may not sit on the frame rest as well as it did when the box was new. And so the box can spread apart, and then the frames can drop down, and that could be a dangerous condition for your queens, especially during transport. So those staples really help. When I make nukes, I put in 4 drawn frames. I add the queen. Those frames have bees of all ages. They have several different stages of brood, mostly capped. And then I'll put in the queen. and I put the undrawn frame to the side, and the 4 drawn frames are here. If I make the nuke strong enough, after about 10 days, they typically have the inside of the undrawn frame drawn out. And then I have 2 options. The first option is just to lift it out, turn it around so the undrawn side is facing the bees, and put it back in. That works really well if it's a particularly strong nuke. The other thing I can do is just pull it out and spread those 4 frames out and drop this right in the center. But I don't do that for the first 10 to 14 days. I keep the bees together. After 10 to 14 days pass, we're typically getting into the middle of April. It's warming up. The colony has perhaps grown a little bit if there were some frames that had capped brood in there, so there's probably enough bees to where putting one in the middle doesn't make any difference. So here is the work I've done so far. I have found that doing 5 or 10 of these at a time over a 2-month period doesn't make it seem like so much work. I can do them fairly quickly, but it is a pretty repetitive task. These are the lids. I do the lids separately, and here's the reason why. I'll remove a couple here. I put a hole in the lid with a hole saw, and this hole is just the right size to fit a Gatorade cap. And so I feed these nukes with a medium-sized Gatorade bottle. When you make a nuke on April 1st, there are a lot of young bees in that nuke, and so there aren't a lot of foragers. Plus, that early in Kansas, there just isn't a lot of nectar coming in. Even a strong hive wouldn't be bringing much in at that point. And so April 1st typically isn't the time of year where the amount of nectar coming in is going to stabilize or even add weight to a hive. And so you do have to do a little bit of feeding, especially with a young nuke. But after the 2nd or 3rd Gatorade bottle, you're usually into the 3rd week of April. The nuke has gotten bigger, and at that point you usually don't have to feed anymore. The sugar water also helps them to draw out that undrawn frame. So thank you so much for watching. I'm really excited for the 2021 nuke making season. If you have any questions, please let me know. This is Tim from Tea Creek Bees near Topeka, Kansas.